Doc Sports presents. Football Release Party Live Event Thursday, August 21st.
Hey everyone, welcome to Doc Sports Football Release Party. It is Thursday, September 4th, and it's here. NFL football is back. The first full weekend of college and pro together. It's a great day to be alive, people. I'm sure you're feeling the same as me. I just posted my picks. Our picks just went live at Doc Sports. You can go over there and log in and get access to whomever handicapper you are riding with this weekend or this season. Top games, $30 a piece. Those are all posted on the Big Play Alert. No top games in the Thursday night game. The Eagles Cowboys. We will get to that in a few minutes. I have very excited. I have Tony George, Raphael Esparza, Nolan Patrick of Strike Point Sports. It's going to be another great show, and we're really going to dive into what we're looking at in week one of the NFL and week two of the college football season. I got to tell you, man, like I said, I literally just posted my picks maybe 11 minutes ago. So like the adrenaline's still going. I'm feeling a little jittery. Like I'm excited. I'm ready to go, but you know, it's still tempered with a little bit of caution. This is my 20th year of doing this, and I'm not above nerves or anything like that, but mostly just excited, ready to get to it. You know, I mentioned those $30 top games. Don't forget that down in the description below, we have that free 60 link, same as we do every week. That gets you $60, same as cash at Doc Sports. Good for any handicapper, any package, any sport that you want. And yes, I know you're thinking it. Yes, that is applicable towards our full seasons package, which is still available for the early bird price of $749. So that bumps that down if you use that free 60 below $700 for the full year. That gets you from now through the Super Bowl. It works out to like $25 a week or something like that. So it's basically less than the cost of one top play. You can get locked in with a handicapper for the duration of the season. And we are still running our 3-for-1 promo special where you sign up for a full seasons package of one of our handicappers plays, say Tony George, for instance, and you want to give him a test drive, right? Maybe you don't know if you want to commit to him for the full season. You can pick two other guys, any two other handicappers on our site, and we will give you access to their packages as well for free for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we will work something out. So, all right, I'm sick of talking about Tony George. I want to talk to Tony George. Let's get the old veteran, the old savvy veteran in on here. Tony, thanks for taking the time. You are just like me, like 6 o'clock on Thursday hits, and it's like, boom, I'm out the door. The wife knows not to talk to me. The kids know that I'm like amped up. I'm going straight to the liquor cabinet and like settling in. Like, do you still feel that? Do you still feel that relief? Is it more relief or more anxiety when those picks go live at 6 o'clock every Thursday?
Well, guarded optimism, some anxiety early. You know, when you get to rolling, I really don't, you know, I'm always nervous. You know, there's the perception out in the public that a lot of us just throw a bunch of crap up against the wall and see if it sticks. We're selling picks. But we're trying to sell winners at Docs. All the guys, just not me or you, all of them. That's why we have such a quality, talented lineup of guys. But yeah, guarded optimism, always anxious week one of the NFL. Usually at this time, I'm driving to my sports bar, getting geared up to watch the early college game and then the NFL game kick in. But I took a special time out for Robert Ferringo tonight to talk about, you know, what we have going on. Excited. I guess week one of the NFL, I said this on the Gridiron Six-Pack show this week with Griffin. I'm kind of in self-preservation mode week one. Okay. I don't want to go crazy. We've seen these lines in the NFL all summer. They came out way back in May. You know, they've been beat to death. They're sharp, and they're based purely on speculation. You and I both know, you 20 years, me 34, you know there's going to be a total out there of 47. It's going to be a 7-6 ball game.
Sure.
There is an ugly home underdog. that's going to win outright, like the road dog, like the Patriots did last year, get the Bengals, which knocked me out of the survivor pool at Circa, which pissed me off. I'm still not over it, but there's going to be those happen this week. So, tiptoe through the tulips slightly, so to speak. And of course, you and I both have it's the least amount of information that guys like me and Robert and you out there that do a lot of your handicapping on your own, it's the least amount of information you're going to have to work with all year long in the NFL. Now, we have some things in college football that we were able to take away from last week, and that's going to help us this week. I did not have a good start last week in college football. It ended up getting TCU on Monday night, salvage a little pride. But I am excited about my college football card this week and guardedly optimistic about the NFL. I do have a 5-unit top play. That's as big a stretch as I'm making in the NFL this week, Robert.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for that TCU. That was going to be my 7-unit play, and then I pulled back on it for some reason. Like, I kind of swept North Carolina up with a lot of other home dogs that I liked last week, like the Miamis. And even though they weren't underdogs, like Ohio State wasn't the public team. So I just kind of like grouped North Carolina in with them and was kind of kicking myself Monday when that game went exactly the way that I said. But it's interesting that you say that about the uncertainty and taking a cautious approach. And I think that that's good advice. I do. I think that is good veteran advice. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay. You can do a lot of damage. It's just like you can't win a football game in the first quarter, but you can lose it if you go out there and start turning the ball over and doing stupid stuff. Where for me, I love the chaos. I love the uncertainty. These are my moments. I feel like I like to try and strike. As you mentioned, we've had these numbers to break down for months. So I always feel as prepared as I'm ever going to be. And I'm like, if we don't know what's going on, Tony, if we don't know who's going to show up on Sunday, the books don't either. Right? So kind of slight advantage to us, don't you think? Like fortune favors more.
Well, we've done our homework, but I tend in the NFL to tune out all the mainstream stuff.
Sure.
And if I do listen to the mainstream stuff and enough of them are in agreement, I tend about 90% of the time to go against the narrative.
Sure.
And that works for me. It's just, you could power rate these teams and I'm worried about teams that have new offensive and defensive coordinators. Mm-hmm. So you ought to automatically have some question marks about a team like Detroit, who returns the core of their team, and they're very talented. But from a leadership standpoint, it messes up the mojo a little bit. So new head coaches, so the New England Las Vegas game comes to mind. They're new head coaches, but they're veteran head coaches. Yeah. So they this, that, and the other. So there's a lot of storylines mixed in that do affect the performance of the team, and you can't quite get your thumb on it like you can more so in week 3. Thus, I'll just tell everybody listening, less is more right now. I mean, you want to surgically strike with well-researched plays, and I did more totals than I did side plays in the NFL this week. I think and those totals go against the narrative. And I think I'm going to be I will tell you this, and this is what gives me pause, and you can comment on this. Usually, even in the preseason and the first couple of weeks of the regular season in NFL, the defenses are always ahead of the offenses just a little bit.
Sure.
Well, in the preseason, we just saw shootout after shootout, like it was just going crazy. Even the Hall of Fame game last couple of years, that was always a 7-6 ball game for like 10 years in a row. And now it's just a damn shootout. So there's some things that are changing, but sometimes they also, as much as things change, when it comes to the regular season, they remain the same a little bit. And I think you'll see some defenses in front of the offenses this week a little bit.
So talk to me a little bit about preparation. Like, for instance, one of the things that I like to do in college and pro is I do a lot of homework during the summer. I try and stuff as much information in my brain as possible and just get like a macro idea of I like this team. I don't like this team. I think this team's going to be better than people think. I think this team isn't going to be as good. And then early on in the season, that's normally how I'm playing it. Like I'm not looking at numbers as much as just flat out, I don't think this team's going to be very good. I don't care what the number is. I'm just going to play it. Like what is your preparation like? And how has it changed over the years? Like it's a different football landscape now than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. So like, how do you get ready for something like this?
Well, I try and concentrate on 4 conferences only in college football for about 80% of my focus. So I know, and since I do them every year, Mountain West, Big 10, Big 12, Conference USA. A lot of my picks come out of 65% of my picks. So I'm familiar with those teams, their coaches, the coaching changes, who's coming in. That requires research. And I have a pretty good handle on a power rating number, And so when you see the spreads come out, I'll see how far off the other power rating companies are versus my number that's well-researched. And then see who they're playing and so on and so forth. The problem is it's an imperfect system right now. I had it down really good, especially the top place, up until about 3 years ago. When you got this portal and this nil now, it's put a whole different complexion on college football. And I don't think anybody's caught up, totally. You have the same faces in different places. So Beck looked like dog crap at Georgia last year. And on Sunday, he looked like the guy that won the national title in 2023. Now, was that him? Is that new surroundings? Is it coaching? Because I think Kirby Smart's better than Cristobal head coach. But was it coordination, the coordinator, the players surrounding? What was it? And then you go to work on that after you see a game like that. And so, but there is so much prep work. I start with spring ball in college. The NFL, I start probably about July to really get a look at it. And then you worry in the preseason in camp, who's going to get hurt, who's the big star that's going to get hurt and affect the team. Like, the Chargers lost a great offensive lineman, key injuries that affect the team. So there's just so much prep work that goes into it. That's why when you put out a full college and full NFL card for the first time in a year, like you and I just did today,
right.
Pass the Jim Beam and keep bringing me one every 10 minutes till I pass out, and then bring me one every 5.
So you mentioned a game. I want to drill down on some of the specific games this weekend. You mentioned that Raiders-Patriots game.
Right.
I found it really fascinating that we have like a pretty heavy reverse line movement in that game. That game opened at 3.5, was holding firm at 3.5, and then just this past week moved down to New England -2.5. Now, not only is that going counter to where the majority of the betting action is going with the Patriots, as you mentioned, it's kind of going counter to the narrative, right? Like all we've heard for 5 months is about how much better the Patriots are going to be, right? Buy low on this team. They spent big in free agency. They brought in Vrabel. What do you attribute that line movement to? Because it's not like the old days where it's like local Vegas money, betting on the home team, swaying the numbers. Like, what are you hearing? Is there big action coming in on the Raiders? Like,
I think a lot of it is, honestly, there's a lot of money coming in on the Raiders, and I can't put my finger on it, honestly. And so that's why it's a stay away game. First of all, it's a coin flip game.
Yep.
It's a coin flip game. I don't think there'll be a lot of points scored. I don't know how effective Geno Smith's going to be without a DJ Metcalf and a Tyler Lockett running around.
Mm-hmm.
And Najigbu Smith or whatever his name is, and having a great 1-2 punch at running back. Okay, Seattle has a great 1-2 punch at running back. So you could set up play action and have time to throw the ball. He used the slot receiver a lot. Raiders don't have a good slot receiver.
Just throw it to Brock. Just throw it to Brock, right?
Yeah. So But the other thing, too, that surprises me most is as I watched the preseason, Bobby, the one thing I noticed, one of the teams that played the best in the preseason was the New England Patriots.
Yeah, it was the Patriots, right.
They looked really good.
Yes.
Vrabel's a disciplinarian.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not this year. With their schedule, they could that could be an 8 or 9 win team. Tough in the division with, who they have in their division. But at the end of the day, I think Vrabel is going to bring a lot of stability to that program. I don't know if their quarterback is the answer, but I can tell you that 2-3 years down the road, Tennessee's going to regret letting him go. They already do.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about on Doc's Daily today with both of these teams. It's like, Carroll and Vrabel are two excellent coaches. We know who they are. We know what they're going to do. But it's almost like they're rookie starting quarterbacks, right? Like you hire Pete Carroll, you hire Mike Vrabel. You've just opened up like a 4-year window for your franchise where you're going to develop and become better. But they're not there yet. Like both of these teams are going to be much better in November than they are right now. So to your point, it's coin flip game. That's why this was an easy stay away from me. This is two teams I want to see what they're going to do. Then you throw on that weird reverse line movement, and I'm just like, you know me, I'll bet on anything, but not that one. Now, I always like to ask this: what was the game you cut off your card this week? What was that last game that you were like,
Arizona?
Okay.
Arizona. It's too easy.
Sure.
It's too freaking easy. I'm not afraid of them in a teaser, but I'm not. They're 6.5, 3, 6, 7 fall numbers. 3, 6, 7, 10. So a bad number to lay on the road is a fall number, and then you're hanging a hook on it.
Sure.
And bear in mind that guys like me and Robert versus maybe a recreational sports bettor that's watching this show right now, we're not betting games. We're not handicapping games. We're handicapping numbers. And that's hugely important. So that number scared me. I don't see a path where New Orleans can win that game.
Yeah.
Looking at their roster and especially their quarterback situation. And the Cardinals were my surprise team last year in terms of you want to bet these guys in certain spots to cover spreads. Because I'll tell you one thing about that coach at Gannon down there. They play hard for him. Yep. They play 4 quarters of football. They were out of a lot of games last year that they got back in. They hung in there with some really good teams. Murray is an effective quarterback.
He is the question, right? Like, how much do you trust him on the road, right?
On the road, 6.5.
I don't like him as a favorite just in general, as a road favorite. And to your point, there's always goofy stuff that happens in week 1, okay? So we have Dallas, we have the Giants, we have New Orleans, we have Tennessee. Are there any other big favorites? Like one of those 4 teams is probably going to win out. Oh, maybe Cleveland. Let's throw Cleveland in there against them.
Cleveland too.
One of those 5 teams is probably going to win.
Yep.
It happens every year. Like I said, that big favorite knocks, 25% of the people out of your survivor pool. Out of those 5 teams that I just mentioned, did you like any of those teams catching the points?
Cleveland.
Okay. All right. Go on with that.
At Cleveland, first of all, it's a home divisional dog. So that automatically raises up the flag.
Yep.
Okay.
Home division, week 1, home division underdogs, 23-7 against the spread.
That's it. I mean, that's all you got to say. And then home divisional dog getting 5.5, which is an absolutely shitty number to lay on the road, again, in division, and a home divisional dog getting 5.5 with a better defense.
Yeah.
I mean, so that just goes against every handicapping rule. And Cincinnati last year had notoriously, almost in every single frickin' game they played, didn't even get going till the second half. And a lot of the times they dug themselves into a hole even against bad teams, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, they're the quintessential. You see this a lot in like college basketball too. They can beat anybody on any given day, or they can lose to anybody. Any given day. Like, I'd feel much more confident about Cincinnati rolling into Arrowhead as an underdog. I'd be like, yeah, they can beat the Chiefs, you know, versus them as a big favorite at home. Now, Cleveland, I think Cleveland is a little bit undervalued. The problem for me is that Joe Flacco is a loser. Like, that guy was a shot fighter like 7 or 8 years ago. I would feel better about them right now if they were starting one of the kids, frankly. Like, we know who Joe Flacco was. Like, I mean, the last time he was a full-time, full-season starter was like 2017. Like, what are we even talking about here? They do have a defense. They do have a very sharp coach, offensive line, running game, couple decent little weapons. They could be, you know, a sneaky little 6-win team that covers, you know, 9 spreads or something like that. But I'm not back Joe Flacco. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Like,
it's going to be hard for him to stay healthy all year. They're going to have that backup ready to go. That's a very I call it a black and blue division. You know, all of them got good defense. Even Cincinnati's got their best player they finally signed, but Cincinnati probably is the weakest defense in that division. But the rest of them, you know, that's a head knocking division, smash mouth football, like kind of like Big Ten football versus like Big 12 football. Yeah, Big 12 football is wide open, and a lot of where Big Ten is smash mouth. You know, stick it in your face. And Cleveland will do a nice job with some unders at home too. Just FYI, they're going to run the football and play good defense. Same thing with like a team like the Chargers. Same type of head coach. You know, we're going to run the ball and play good defense. And so, you know, there may be more of that game there. Everybody thinks that Cincinnati is going to go in there and light them up for 40. That is not going to happen.
I mean, and even if they do, that defense is so bad that they may give up. They may give up 36. Like Joe
Flacco can trade punches. Joe Flacco's can trade punches in this game.
Well, to your point, like that's the thing about Cleveland, right? Like 2 years ago, they had a top 5 defense, top 3 defense. Last year, they fell apart. If they revert back to that 2023 unit, they'll at least be able to hang around in some games. So,
the thing of it is, last year, you're not going to be a top tier defense when your offense is going freaking 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Every series you don't get a blow. You don't get a rest. You need an offense and they know that, which is what their game plan is going to be this weekend. We got to give these guys rest. We're just going to pound the rock and eat clock and give our guys, you know, some time to recover here. And, you know, divisional games are always the toughest games for any team to play. So, of those games there, I don't see.
Well, hold on. I want to bring Raphael Esparza in. I want to see what he thinks as well. So you think of those top 5 that Cleveland has the most. So, Raphael, I'm not sure if you were listening, but
you're not down on Bourbon Street yet, pouring one, getting ready.
I don't drink until Sunday.
For the game?
I only drink on Sundays during football season.
Only drinks on the Lord's Day, right? Like he's the exact opposite of the Christian. So what Tony and I were just talking about is, you know, one of these big favorites is probably going to lose outright in the NFL this week. It happens every year. Like it just happens every single year. And out of Dallas, New Orleans, Cleveland, Tennessee, and the Giants, which one of those 5 do you think is most likely to spring the upset?
I think the most likely one that we'll see a big line movement is going to be the Saints. That number would be 5.5 by kickoff.
You think it'll be 5.5? Okay.
The bettors are betting it. You can get 6.5 minus 105 right now. So that means if it's minus 105, we're going to see 6s probably sometime tomorrow morning. So you're trying to tell me Mini-Me, Kyler Murray is a 6.5 point favorite on the road? I know the Saints are awful. I know their quarterback, us 3 are better than in their quarterback room. But 6.5 to Kyler Murray, we know the Saints. What are they going to bring? Defense. That's all. Their defense always carries them. If I see a home dog, it would not shock me if the Saints win.
Well, my thing about New Orleans, too, is that, you know, I did my power rankings, which I put on Doc Sports that you can find right now, and I had them 32nd. I have them as the worst team.
Oh, yeah.
But I explained it out. I was like, listen, over the 17-game season, their terrible quarterback play and their lack of depth because of their cap issues, because of a lot of the things that happen, like they're terrible over the long run. However, right now in a 1-game situation where everybody's healthy, okay, they have Olave until he gets his next concussion. They have Kamara. Shaheed is healthy. The offensive line is healthy. Their starting 22 is not like a 2-win team. They may only end up winning 4 games this year, but like for one game on one Sunday at home against a shaky team like Arizona, I don't know. I feel like they could pull the upside. All right, Tony, I'm not going to keep you any longer from getting to the bar. Get to that stool. You have earned it, my friend. 5-unit play, is that in NFL or is that in college?
We have a 4-pack on Saturday with no top plays, but 3 and 4-unit plays do have value, folks.
Yeah,
they're my best bets. Same thing on Sunday. We have a 5-unit play on a 4-pack, and that is a side play, 2 totals. I've got a teaser, which I really like. And then Friday night, Chargers Chiefs, I passed tonight. And by the way, just a heads up, don't forget the prop market. So when you don't see value, like Raphael was saying, when you don't see value or a game you don't like, Cleveland, Cincinnati, or the Saints game, while sight and total might not hold a lot of value for people, there's a lot of question marks, or Raiders and Patriots. There's ample opportunity in the prop market to still have action within those games, and we'll have those cards up for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tony. I can't wait to have you back.
Thanks. Good luck.
All right. Funny that he mentioned that, Raphael, since you and I both have top prop plays in tonight's game.
Well, I want to piggyback on your Raiders talk and stuff like that. There was no big line movement. Only 1 to maybe 2 books had 3. I'm going to say it even though we're not supposed to. Bet Online was the first one that posted 3 on the Raiders. I don't know if maybe it's because it was one of their players, one of their big guys wanted it or something, but they were the only one. DraftKings and the almighty Circa are the ones that posted 3, like maybe 2 weeks before those 2 shops posted the Raiders at -3. So I don't know. I can't say why they did it, but no other U.S. book posted 3 that I know of. So don't be misleading on that.
Even still, little odd that majority action on the Patriots, and they don't want to go up to that 3. Like who do you know that's touting the Raiders this week, right? Like who's jumping on that ticket? It also, by the way, another game that I'd like to put in this discussion is that's why for me that Jaguars-Panthers game kind of jumped out. They don't want to move off that 3, and they did early in the week, moving Jacksonville to -3.5. So talk to me a little bit about the differences in those 2 games, 2 numbers, 2 situations where they don't want to move it to 3 in New England. They had no problem moving it to 3 in Jacksonville.
I think the Raider game, I think people see Tom Brady and Pete Carroll. I think that has a lot to do with money coming in. I haven't heard any big sharp action on either one, New England or the Raiders, even though New England had a really good preseason. You guys mentioned that. Same thing with Carolina and Jacksonville. Jacksonville, they were embarrassed last year. And now they have brand new quarterback or brand new head coach, brand new everything. Everyone thinks this could be maybe Trevor Lawrence's year, since we've heard that year after year after year. But I think their defense is going to be better. So I understand why they put the 3.5, because I think the bettors will probably bet Jacksonville before they bet the Raiders. So they added that half a point to probably cover themselves on parlays and teasers on Sunday.
All right, we're 30 minutes into the show, and it's probably dereliction of duty on me. We haven't even talked about the Thursday night game. Yeah, so let's start with the Thursday night game, then get into the Friday night game. Same thing about like who's running around waving Raiders tickets. Who's running around waving Cowboy tickets right now?
A lot of people.
Okay, well, that was what I was going to ask you is, do you feel like this number inflated enough? Because we talked about this literally last week after the Micah Parsons trade when the number was 7. I was like, that's going to get to 8, might get to 8.5. Do you feel like it's gotten to the point now where it's got to be Dallas or nothing? Like we obviously missed the value with Philadelphia -7 in this game. Is it Dallas or nothing?
Right now it's 7.5 at DraftKings -120 on Philly. But I've heard
a little buyback, or is that just
I've heard today from one book that I was not allowed to say on air during my interviews that they had multiple players on each side that they were going to hammer. So if player A say, hey, I'm going to get 5 figures on the Eagles at -8, and then they would move it to 9, which a lot of books did. The other actually would get the 9, and then would move it back to either 8 or 8.5. So that's why we've seen a lot of line switch. I think a lot of these books had customers, okay, we're going to take X, Y, and Z on the Eagles. I got ABC that's going to bet to the Cowboys, and they can just balance it, act on that. I've heard it from multiple books that they had big players on both sides. I think that's why we've seen the fluctuation of 7.5, 8, 8.5 all day today. That's why I always tell people, shop your lines, because there's 3 different numbers on this game.
Well, guys obviously have strong positions on either side if they're putting that type of money on it. Where do you come down on this? With Philadelphia, we know who they are. We know what they are. We know where the talent is. With Dallas, it's been all negativity, but frankly, like there's a little bit of that unknown factor, right? Like Dallas should be able to prepare for Philadelphia easier than Philadelphia can prepare for Dallas.
I agree.
Now, the talent's on Philadelphia's side, but Dallas really has that surprise factor, right? So break it down. Like, is this one of those games where we should just bet Philadelphia and expect it to be 34-7? And if it's not, oh, well, or is this like, you know what? I think Dallas kind of can do some things. Did they blow the Micah Parsons deal? Yeah, 100%. But they still have some good players on this team.
I don't think they blew the Micah Parsons trades. I think they finally got the cancers out. I heard his laying on a table fiasco in the preseason game really torn the locker room. And a lot of defensive guys saying, we don't want this guy. If he's going to be like that, we don't want him. So I heard that had to do a lot of negativity in the locker room. So when you get negativity out of the locker room, maybe that is a good case. I myself I am hoping and praying that the Eagles get the ball first. They kick a field goal 3-0 because you know what I'm doing? Live betting the Cowboys. Because I think that I can see the Eagles winning by 7 points, 6 points or less. I can see that the Eagles are going to win this game. I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to win this game, but I just don't think it's going to be a blowout, which everyone kind of thinks is. I think it's going to be Dak Prescott is healthy. He's got a new shiny toy running around out there. So I just think it's going to be very interesting. Like for a player prop bets, I like a lot of Prescott prop bets. I like a lot of kicking prop bets. I think we're going to see points. I almost pulled it. I know you're going to ask me, what was my last play that I took off the card? And it's tonight's over.
Yeah, I did too. And it's just one of my buddies, I have his voice in the back of my head, is like, never bet over on the Thursday night game. Like they're always so sloppy. It's just opening, and tonight could be opening night jitters. But I kind of agree with you. I think Dallas is going to come out and sling it around a little bit. Now, that's not what Schottenheimer was known for as an offensive coordinator. Like, really, the guy was never a successful offensive coordinator. The best run he had was with those Jets team that was Sanchez, and who was the head coach? Rex Ryan, Rob Ryan.
Yeah.
Yes, Rob and Rex Ryan, which were ground and pound teams. And it's like, if he's going to try and do that with Dallas, just pencil in the 3 wins now because they're not really built for it. So, I don't know. Well, what about that game on Friday, Kansas City against the Chargers? Any early thoughts?
I think everyone wants to know, what's the field going to be like? We saw the game last year. The field was awful. I mean, even the soccer players were like, I wouldn't play in that field. I mean, that's how bad the field was. So I want to see that one. I really didn't pull that much into this one. If I had to choose, I would maybe lean towards the Chargers because I'm not a big fan of KC this year. I think they don't win the division this year. So if I was going to pull the trigger on a side, I was looking at the Chargers. I wanted more points. I was looking for that nice half a point, 3.5. But I'm looking for the Chargers on this game. But again, the field.
These two traditionally play pretty close games, or at least in recent years. I think 4 of the last 7 have been decided by 6 points or less. Another one was decided.
The last 3 have been decided by a total of 10 points, and all 3 of those games went under the total.
Harbaugh is 5-0 against the spread in season openers as an NFL coach. Andy Reid has traditionally been fantastic in September, so that's kind of a wash. So one of the things that I was looking at a little bit in this game is that Kansas City, I feel like, gets the edge because they are used to these high-profile situations. I'm not talking about playing in primetime. I'm talking about playing overseas, playing in Super Bowls, playing in big-time playoff games. Playing in prime time quite a bit. Like, do you give Kansas City a little bit of an edge and experience because they've not only been in situations like this, but they've had a lot of success in these high-profile games?
Yeah, but some of these primetime games can be disadvantaged on what you did last week. I mean, this one doesn't because it's week 1. Yeah, everyone prepared for this one. But some of those games, it's a disadvantage to play in those primetime games. You might have a short practice, travel.
For the next week and stuff like that.
Yeah, for next week. But this one, I mean, both of them have been there for a while. The Chargers have been there weeks. It's not like they just flew out. Yes, I feel bad for the Chargers next week. They have to fly all the way to Brazil, and then they're on the road next week. I mean, that's a horrible flight schedule. I hope they get good miles on their credit cards.
They lose the home game, and then they have to play another road game after that. That is pretty brutal. I don't know. I feel like I'm the only one that likes Kansas City. I understand why people are expecting the regression because of what the numbers were completely unsustainable of what they did last year. But I saw this for 15 years with Tom Brady, right? Like at the end of the season or heading into the next season, you're looking at their yards per point, their turnover margin, their close wins, all this stuff. You're like, there's no way that they can do that again. And then they do it again. So for me, it's like, I've learned my lesson. It's Mahomes or nothing.
Yeah, but okay, I'll debate devil advocate on that. But look at the teams that New England had. I mean, none of them really improved in that era of Tom Brady. None of them was nipping at their tails like we have Denver's defense and the Chargers run game of Harbaugh there. I get what you're saying, but I just wasn't sold on the Dolphins. Ooh, they're going to catch Tom Brady. Ooh.
Right. The part of the strength of that dynasty was the fact that their division was so bad. Like,
yeah,
100%. And that's why the Bills are in such a good, that's why their Super Bowl window is wide open right now, because they're still in that division. But I'm just saying those teams cash tickets year in and year out. Those Brady teams beat their season win total overwhelming majority of time, where you're like, they won 13 games last year. Their season win total is 12.5. They can't do it again. And then they'd go out and win 14 games or something like that. So I just kind of learned my lesson. I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes. They go out and win 27-14 tomorrow. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, maybe, they're not going to lose the division. Okay. I do want to pivot quickly, just a little bit back to college football. Okay. We're going to be dealing with this next week in the NFL, which is overreaction week, right? So we had a lot of high-profile games last week. Teams win, teams lost. Like, how do you handicap that with like the bounce back for a team like Texas, a team like Alabama? How do you handle like the letdown? Like in your neck of the woods, LSU had that nice win. They're laying 38 points this week. Do you just stay away from those games? Do you lean in? Do you expect Texas to just like put the boot to San Jose State? Walk me through your handicapping.
Yeah, the LSU game is a little bit different because when is Dabo going to realize you ain't going to win games unless you hit the transfer portal or start paying plays? I'm sorry. We're grooming our freshmen to be men. I'm like, give me a break. That's the reason why you got crushed last week by LSU and couldn't stop the run. Everybody else, Notre Dame, Bama, and Texas, last time I checked, all three of them lost on the road. Pump the brakes. They didn't lose at home. Texas only lost by 7 points. I thought Manning played much better in the fourth quarter. They could have easily won that game. And Notre Dame, they're a hostile place. Alabama, okay, I'll give them a little bit, but they were on the road. So all three of them, I'm not touching them this week, but it wouldn't shock me if one of them struggles and we have to hear the Boo Birds again. It wouldn't shock me if it's Alabama.
Yeah, I agree as well, but there was no way that I would bet against them, because it's one of those things where you're like, Kalen DeBoer, he needs something good to happen. He needs to empty the tank. Same thing with Texas. Like Sark needs to get the confidence back and everyone. So if they get up 5 touchdowns, where maybe he starts putting in some of the backups or some of the freshmen or something like that, he might keep the pedal to the metal a little bit longer this week. Just in general, how do you handle those big spreads in college football, those spreads of 4 touchdowns or more, minus 28.5 to the minus 45.5? Do you just instantly throw those off your card, or do you ever look for situational plays where you're like, you know what, I think Sark is going to lay the wood this weekend. I don't care what the number is. 37, cool, lay it.
And look at totals, because let's look at Texas. Texas defense played really well. I mean, they only hold Ohio State to 14 points. It's not like Ohio State put up 48 points at home at the shoe. So I look at totals on this one. So I don't really look at sides. I kind of look at totals, like the LSU total. I think it's going to go under because I don't see La Tech scoring at all. That LSU defense bothered Clemson. What are they going to do to La Tech in Baton Rouge? So I mostly look at totals, not sides, winning these big spreads.
Now, the revenge angle can sometimes be a little bit overplayed, I feel like, in some handicapping. I do think it's a real legit thing, especially in conference play, for particularly nasty games, fights, heartbreaking losses, stuff like that. What are your thoughts about non-conference revenge? Because the only reason I ask about that is that we actually have some kind of interesting games this week. Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech jump out, and Toledo, Western Kentucky, 2 very good mid-major programs that played last year, with Western Kentucky winning, coming from behind, overcoming a 2-touchdown deficit or 2-score deficit to win at home as an underdog. How do you factor in revenge into your handicapping with some of these non-conference games?
I want to give the double bird to Virginia Tech. Is how do you give up an 80-plus punt return? That cost me the cover last week. So I want to give them the double bird. I hope they lose by 100 points today. So that's my revenge on that game. So I'm hoping, you know me, I'm not the biggest SEC fan. I'm hoping Vanderbilt puts a century mark on Tech's defense for what they did to me last week. The other game, Toledo, Western Kentucky, I can't wait to watch this game. Thank you for ESPN Plus and all these different channels where you can watch games like this one, because both teams are going to run the ball and both teams can run the ball. So who's going to stop the run first? Whoever stops it first wins the game.
Yeah, I love Diego Pavia. He might be not just my favorite college football player. He might be one of my favorite humans right now. For the uninitiated, that is the Vanderbilt quarterback who has just been a cover machine everywhere that he has been. If you don't know, Virginia Tech was like a double digit. They were like a 2-touchdown favorite in week 1 last year, went into Vanderbilt and lost outright. So that's the revenge angle here. I was with you on Virginia Tech last week. That was a 5-unit play. Had I hit that play, I would have had a monster week. I would have had like plus 1,600, something like that. I did manage to have a winning week anyway, but yeah, I'm a little salty on that. But I got to tell you, if they had covered that game, it almost would have been a little bit of a fluke. Like South Carolina looked much the better team. Virginia Tech could not do anything offensively. Like
Virginia Tech needs to come out to Barry Manilow now, not Metallica, after the way they played.
Was there anything that you saw from week 1 in college football, a game where you're like, okay, this team played better than I thought. This team had some fluky things. Was there any results from last week that you directly injected into your handicapping this week based on results from last week?
State of Florida. Florida State, Miami,
USF. Well, wait a second. Let me be clear on what I'm asking about. You bet a bunch of teams from the state of Florida this week because of what you saw last week?
No, I'm just saying what I saw last week is going to prepare for me how I handicap week after week, because I didn't think Florida State was going to be that good. I didn't think Miami was going to be that good. Miami's defense really opened up my eyes. So now as am I prepared for week, I'm not going to laugh at Florida. I'm going to, okay, this could be very interesting. I remember week 1 or week 0. They impressed me. Okay, what are they going to do now?
All right, I want to bring in Nolan Patrick of Strike Point Sports and see what his opinion is on this matter. Nolan, was there anything last week in college football, any one game, situation, team, player, whatever, that you saw and were like, okay, that's not going to happen again, or that is going to happen? Was there anything that you saw last week that you directly injected into this week's card where you're like, I am definitely betting this team this week because they should have covered last week?
Well, like Raphael said, he has games that he just wants to flip teams off. I mean, I lost my big play on Texas, and I look at thinking that I want to bounce back because Texas was inside the Ohio State 10-yard line 3 times and came away with 7 points. And I feel like Sark called a terrible game. I really do. I thought the way Texas worked as a coaching staff, I thought was a disaster. So I would be looking them to bounce back in a big way. But I think they're favored by 37 points. But I almost still wanted to go back to Texas because I feel like they're going to win by 60 this weekend.
All right, Raphael, what's the big play on the board for you this weekend?
5 on college and 7 on Monday night. And here, I'm going to bounce back at tonight's game. Thursday night, we were just talking how 7.5 at one book. That one book just moved it to 8.5. So I'm just telling you, when you see stuff like that, that tells me better A, bets one guy, 7.5, better B, bet the other side, and move it back to the number. So when you see movement and tricky like that, you have to really dissect it. It's not just one side of action. I can guarantee you they have a group of people betting one side, and then they call or text or email, okay, you can bet it now. They bet the number, and they just move it right back.
Great stuff. Don't forget, me and Raphael will be doing What Are the Odds tomorrow at 2 o'clock, doing another live show, so you can listen to us more. Good luck. I will see you tomorrow, Raphael.
Nolan, have a good one.
Hey, you too.
Funny, both of you two both have 7-unit plays. Both are on the Monday Night Football game. Raphael and Nolan of Strike Point Sports. That is Strike Point Sports with the 7-unit play on Monday. Before we get into a little bit of NFL action, I do have to mention, be sure to like and subscribe to the Doc Sports YouTube channel if you are enjoying the show and want more information like this to help you become a better sports bettor. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. You'll turn the alerts on and you'll be alerted every time a new video is posted. A lot of free play videos every day. Docs Daily every day at 1 o'clock. We have stuff going around the clock almost. So anything that you need to help you become a better sports gambler, we got you with. We also have YouTube Premium. I'm sure Lenny's going to put that up on the crawl. That is a pay service. Become a member. You can get picks and all that good stuff. But whatever. All right. We're done with that. All right. Tonight, Nolan, Philly, Dallas. We talked about this game in July, it might have been. Yes. We talked about this game when we were doing NFC East preview and previewing some of the teams in the NFC East. And we were both in agreement, juicy little spot for the Cowboys. The public's going to be all over Philadelphia. We thought Dallas, has the potential to be a little bit better. Have you been sworn? Are you swearing off the Cowboys in this game and moving forward? Are you just kind of going with the public here that's just like torturing the Cowboys and their owner?
No, I'm not swearing off Dallas. Let me preface this by saying this is one of the few times that I will be on a Thursday night game. I hate Thursday night football games. Now, mind you, I like to sit down on my couch and relax and watch a Thursday night football game. But as far as wagering on them, typically Thursday night football games are just garbage. I feel like you see every single one of them as an underfest, sloppy football. It's just bad. Guys are exhausted. Scheduling is terrible for Thursday night games. But I like this one because obviously we've had all summer to prepare. I think my biggest question about this, and no, I'm not swearing off Dallas. I like Dallas here. I think the biggest issue for this football game is why are the two loser NFC East teams playing in this one and not the two good NFC East teams? Why don't they switch that up?
And hey, you're ragging on the Thursday night schedule. Well, you don't like Jags, Titans on a Thursday night, or Carolina, Panthers, Bucks coming at you Thursday night. So, okay, you brought up the two good teams in the NFC East. I let you get away with that one because I ragged on the Giants all summer. Really interesting game, really interesting line movement in that game. Okay. Washington, everybody knows about Washington. They're this year's Houston Texans. They made the NFC Championship game. Jaden Daniels is God. They got Debo. They followed the Houston Texans 2023-2024 playbook to a T, right? Super Bowl, obviously. That number opened with Washington -7.5 against the lowly Giants. And even though everyone and their sister has been punching tickets on Washington, all that number has done is come down. Talk to me about that.
I think that's a big red flag. I mean, I really do. I mean, how many times have we sat here and seen the sexy team come out of the gate and just lay an egg? I mean, let's be honest. And when you look at this game, out of these two teams, who has pressure here? If the Giants go in and lose 34-13, everybody's just going to say, I told you so. Like, they still haven't figured anything out. They have the hardest schedule in football. Their coaching staff stinks, blah, 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 blah. But if the Giants play well and put a scare in Washington or win this football game, then there is just the alarm bells are going off in Washington. The Giants have nothing to lose. They now have a veteran quarterback, not saying he's great, but he knows how to play football. And we talked about this last night. At this point in time, this might be the most momentum that the New York Giants have going into any football game all season long. They believe they can win this football game more than probably the next 16. So I can see why the line would be coming down, because I think sharp bettors know that the value's on the Giants, and the Giants always play the Commanders tough.
They did. They played them really tough last year. They lost by 5 and they lost by 3. And that game that they lost by 3, that was a game where the Giants kicker got hurt in warm-ups. So they passed up a bunch of easy field goal opportunities. I think they missed a couple, or they went for 2. They didn't even try and kick the extra point. They ended up leaving like 7 points that just a baseline kicker would get. They left that on the field.
If I'm not mistaken, one of the two Giants games, and I struggle because I feel like I stopped watching them last year because I'm a diehard Giants fan. But the first time they played the Commanders, didn't they score 3 touchdowns, not get an extra point, and lose to 7 field goals? If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it 21-18?
21-18, yeah.
And the Giants scored 3 touchdowns got no extra points.
They went for two.
Yeah.
That's what I did. They went for two every time. And I feel like on their final drive, they were in range for what would have been like a 46 or 47-yard field goal, but they had to go for it on fourth down here. So, I asked a question to Tony and to Raphael earlier. I'll pose the same thing to you. We're going to see a big upset. Maybe it's this Giants game, right? We have the 5 big favorites. We have Philadelphia, we have Washington, we have Denver, we have Arizona, and we have Cincinnati. I threw Cincinnati in there. Out of those 5, somebody's losing. Someone is going to lose. At least 2 of those teams probably aren't going to cover. In your opinion, who is the most likely of those 5 teams to lose this weekend?
I mean, if I could take this jersey off and just put on a normal shirt so nobody thought I was a Giants fan, I would say the Giants have a great chance of winning. There's no doubt about it. You look at the other game, the Browns and the Bengals. The Browns stink. Joe Flacco is done. I mean, he was done years ago. But all the Bengals do is early in the season is not win games they're supposed to win. But the one that really sticks out to me is I'm not laying points on Kyler Murray on the road. 90% of the public, 93% of the public is on Kyler Murray on the road. No thanks. If New Orleans wins that game, I feel like I'm going to call you and just say, yeah, we knew that. Right. I'm going nowhere near that. So I would say if I had to rank them in order, I would say the Giants have the best chance of winning. Mm-hmm. I would say Cleveland has the second best chance of winning. And then I would say that New Orleans has the third best chance, but I think New Orleans has a great chance to cover that line.
Okay. I don't honestly, as I was looking at it today, forget from the betting perspective, just like in terms of games I want to watch, I don't feel like there's a ton of great matchups. I mean, Baltimore and Buffalo, epic. That we don't even need to get into that. But just a lot of the other ones, not a ton of intrigue, except for 2 4:00 games on Sunday that I want to get your opinion on. One of them is Detroit and Green Bay. The other is Houston versus the Rams. So you can pick whichever one you want to start with. But what are your thoughts on those numbers, matchups, and just situations overall?
So that Green Bay-Detroit game is super interesting. Obviously, Detroit is still a great football team, but they've had a lot of changes, up top. Not necessarily on their team, but up top. They've had a lot of changes. And when things like that happen, I feel like you lose a lot of consistency. You lose a lot of momentum. Guys might not be as confident in the people that are telling them what to do. I still really like Detroit as a whole, but this is a brutal spot for them to start going into Green Bay. Obviously, Green Bay bringing in Micah Parsons, they're just everything is lining up for the Packers. I'm sour on Green Bay, however, because over the years, whenever I feel like that's the call, Green Bay is the call, they burn me. I lost an 8-unit play on the Packers last year, -1.5, and they won by 1. I feel like I don't know about Love. I just don't know about this guy. Is he a good quarterback? Sure, no doubt. But I don't know if he's going to be a star. I don't know if I trust him in a huge spot like this. The Green Bay wide receiving core is always hurt, always dinged up. You got a bunch of guys that do the same thing. Yeah. They really do. All the Packers receivers, I feel like they do the same thing. Yeah. So I just don't know about laying points with Green Bay. It opened at a pick. Now the Packers are -2. If I didn't go on that game, but if I was going to go on it, I really think I would take Detroit.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it. It is a stay away game for me, and it's more that I just don't know if I trust Green Bay when you think they're going to win.
I'm big in on Jordan Love. I think he's exceptional. I think that their issues last year had more to do with that receiving core. Frankly.
Yeah, they're always hurt.
They were hurt. Guys were complaining about touches because they had that success the year before. Everybody wanted to come in. These were guys that were drafted late rounds, stuff like that. So those guys were all angling for their next contract. So everybody wanted to be the 1A kind of guy. They go out and draft 2 new receivers. So they're kind of like, look, you guys can either get on board or you can go hit free agency and go find your next contract. But I'm just a big fan of theirs. What about that Houston Rams matchup? Stafford's going to play, obviously. My thing is, how's he going to do after he takes that first hit? And not only that, maybe more importantly, how many throws is he going to bail out on, release too early, throw over the middle, so he doesn't take the hit? And how is that going to impact him?
I think this game is going to be a slugfest. I really do. I like Houston's defense. I think they're outstanding. I think that the Rams offense is going to struggle a little bit because that Houston defense is so good and because Matt Stafford, is hurt. That first hit that he takes, oh gosh, he's getting older. His back hurts. I think in this spot, I think the Houston defense is at a better spot than the Houston offense. Do I think the Houston offense can score on the Rams? Sure, I do. But I love the Rams coaching staff. I love Sean McVay. I think he's outstanding. I think he gets the most out of his players. The Rams always just want to win for him. This is a game, though, that I think is going to be a slugfest. If you like defensive football, this is your kind of game. I think this game has 20-17 written all over it, 17-14, something like that. Big hits, guys just hurt constantly from those massive defensive hits. I think this is just a bruising battle, old school 1990s football game.
Yeah, Houston's secondary is probably one of the 3 or 4 best in football. If anybody's going to be set up to lock up against Puka and what's his face, Adams.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's going to match up well with the Rams passing game, it's going to be this Houston secondary. So I'm not as high on the Rams as a lot of people for some reason. Everybody, I feel like, has them right there in like the top 2 or 3 favorites to come out of the NFC. Am I missing something? Or like, what are your thoughts on the Rams? For whatever reason, I honestly like, I'm not saying they're going to come in last place. That's not what I'm saying. From a betting perspective or a value perspective, I kind of like all the other 3 teams in the NFC West more from a betting perspective than I do the Rams this year. Am I missing something? Like what? Like walk me through this.
It's funny because I remember I gave you a call at the beginning of the season last year, and I said to you, it's a thing that we say because we grew up together, obviously. And one of our high school friends, his dad loves the Rams. And I remember I said to you, I really like the Rams. Don't doubt Gordy Matraw. Like, this is the year for the Rams. That was last year, right? I agree with you this year. Now, let me preface this because I just sat here and said, no way would I ever bet on Kyler Murray on the road. And I kind of trashed on the guy. But lots and lots of people like Arizona this year. And I do. I think they're going to be a solid football team. People are in love with Seattle. And I think it's justifiable. I like Seattle this year too. I think that they're going to have a very good season. And then San Francisco, I don't really like them, but let's be honest, their schedule is easy.
If the Giants had San Francisco's schedule and San Francisco had the Giants' schedule, the Giants would probably have a better record this year.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed 100%. So I really think when you look out west, if you told me that San Francisco, Arizona, and Seattle all won 10 games and the Rams won 8, I would say, yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So I'm not as high on the Rams, but I think it's because those other teams in the West are all pretty good, and San Francisco just has an easy schedule.
Okay, last game. What was the last game off your card? What was the game that you wrote up, thought about, woke you up in the middle of the night one night this week and had you thinking about that you eventually cut off your card?
Well, I mean, I had 2. One was I really wanted to take the Raiders. Because, everybody loves the Patriots. Right. The Patriots.
They're back. The dynasty is back.
They were so good in the preseason. They're fantastic. I love the Patriots.
$8 billion in free agency.
Yeah, no. And I know the whole, West Coast team coming east to play an early kick, all that stuff. It all makes perfect sense. Right. Not in the first week. Pete Carroll knows what he's doing. I don't know if there's anyone in football that can cover Brock Bowers, so I don't care if the Patriots defense is outstanding. No one can guard him. But at the very end, I said, am I coming out of the gates in week 1 and betting on the Raiders? Am I doing that? And the answer was no. I want to. I wouldn't be surprised if I release a free play on the Raiders because I did want to take that. That was definitely one that stayed off my card. And I'm sitting here looking to just try and remember. Oh, the last one. I love Tampa Bay. I like their team. I like what they bring to the table. I've always been a huge Mike Evans guy. Baker Mayfield is just rejuvenated his career. But there is something about that game that makes me really like Atlanta. You live down there. You live down there. Falcons fans are pretty good fans. They're going to pack that place. The Falcons typically play well at home. So because of that, even though I really like Tampa Bay, I couldn't do it. I wanted to take Atlanta, but I just didn't want to go against my gut because I do like Tampa Bay this year. So I had Atlanta, but then I was like, I just can't go against Tampa Bay because I like them this year. So
That's
the Raiders
funny, because I feel like Sunday at like 2:30, the game I'm going to be killing myself for not betting was Tampa Bay. Because Atlanta for the last 4 years, it's like, oh, they're coming back. Oh, watch out for Atlanta. Oh, call me when they win more than 8 games. Okay. I'm just kind of out on this franchise until they actually show some forward momentum. I don't like the fact that they didn't play Michael Penix at all during the preseason, and that they didn't play their starters at all. It's like, what are we even talking about here? This guy doesn't need any work. So, and it's kind of weird that Atlanta's had their number, right? Atlanta has beaten Tampa Bay either 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6. Something like that, even though the Bucs have been the better team, they've won 4 straight division titles. Atlanta has just kind of had their number. So, I don't know. So, all right, it is 7:00. We're going to get you out of there. We got an hour until the start of the the NFL season. Nolan, 7-unit play on Monday Night Football. Is that right? And
That's
what's your play in college on Saturday?
I have 5 units.
Saturday. What is it?
5-unit on Saturday.
What time?
It is the 3:30 game.
Awesome. Okay, 5-unit play from Nolan, 7-unit play in the NFL on Monday. Thank you very much for your time. Go crack a cold one for yourself there, buddy.
I appreciate it. Have a good one.
For the rest of you out there, thank you very much for taking your time. Again, I mentioned this last week. You guys feel free. You guys are awful quiet over there in the comment section. Feel free to throw out games, numbers, ideas, agree, disagree. This is for you. We're doing this for you guys. I want this to be kind of an interactive thing. This isn't just for me to come out here and bloviate about football for an hour. I could do that for 24 hours, right? I want you guys to look at this as a venue for you to have direct access to us, to ask us questions about numbers, line movements, nuts and bolts handicapping stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So keep that in mind. So, all right, everybody, enjoy your weekend. Good luck to all of you. We will be back next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, carpe diem and good luck.